Welcome one and all to episode 42 of Pocket Edition. I'm your host Sully, and today I'm joined by my regular co-host in Mark and our frequent guest, Count Fracula. How are you both today?
Hi.
Or...
I exist.
He does indeed.
Or do we? We were talking about this before.
Oh no, please no. No more existential crises, thanks. Not on Pocket Edition.
I think you'll find it's crises.
Crises?
Isn't it Crisis 2? That's a good game.
Half-Life 3 confirmed.
Oh shit, I don't know if my PC can run that.
Anywho, Count, tell us what you've been up to.
I spent about an hour the other day trying to figure out what was wrong with my recordings on Let's Plays. Figured it out. It was a combination of the recording software and the editing software being shitty with the bitrate. So on the plus side, I've got it fixed. On the downside though, I did double check how large an hour-long video would be on the correct settings. 25 gigabytes, it turns out.
That's a big render.
That's a Blu-ray.
To just even load in, yeah.
It is, yeah. So I'm kind of... to be fair, the Let's Plays I do, when I render them out, they're only about 20 minutes long. So that'll be about 10 gigs instead of the usual 2.
Yeah, okay. That's not... Yeah.
It's not disastrous.
I mean, once you render it out again in whatever software you're using, that's going to reduce again, right?
No, that's the render size.
Oh,
At the end of
shit.
it.
Holy
Yeah.
cow. No. Bad count.
I don't accept low bit rates.
Alright, let's leave Count his bit rates alone. Mark, what have you been up to, man?
Just finished Spider-Man.
Ooh.
Spider-Man. Spider-Man.
I was hoping that you could just play
Spider
that.
I might just do that.
I mean, there's nothing stopping you.
Yeah, I mean, like in the game, I wish that I could just play it. Just whatever you
Yeah.
like, put on a different outfit. It's just,
Be a ringtone or something.
that'd be awesome.
Tell us about it, Mark. What are your impressions?
Incredibly solid game. It's just everything in it just works so well. It does have a few like niggling issues, like some of the side quests aren't particularly interesting, but the core narrative is so well focused, so well structured, so well paced that you kind of forget that was a thing.
I think Max had similar things to say when I spoke to him yesterday about it, yeah.
And it's just an
nice.
absolute joy to swing around New York, because like it takes like maybe 2 hours to get used to everything, but then by the game's completion you're still figuring out things and sort of like making it all flow better, and it almost looks like a cinematic once it all clicks, and it's just fun.
Thwip. Is there a lot of thwipping?
There is a lot of thwipping. Thwips per minute is pretty high.
Ooh, careful.
You've had frames per second, now we're on thwips per minute.
Console wars, here we come. Speaking of single-player games, though, Count, would you like to detail for us our topic of this episode?
No.
Please.
All right, episode done.
Yep, bye!
Mark, you're stepping in. You're taking one for the team now.
I'm taking one for the team.
There'll be no holidays for you if you don't.
I don't have a good track record of taking one for the team.
It does always seem to go wrong when Mark's in charge.
Yeah.
Charles in charge. Okay, well, on the topic of Spider-Man and single-player games, we've had a pretty good track record so far this year on big single-player narrative, single-player driven games like God of War and Spider-Man. And it seems like we might be having a resurgence of those sorts of games. With, say, like, even though Red Dead Redemption will have a significant multiplayer portion, it seems like its single-player will have that same sort of effort that Rockstar can only deliver in a single-player experience. So what do you guys think of this sort of being the trend coming back? Because recently it's just been multiplayer.
Do you reckon like single-player games like truly ever really left like in a large capacity though? Or do you think we just got more multiplayer?
No, that's something that the games industry made up.
Yeah,
because
that's
they
kinda what I
wanted to
feel like
push
as well.
multiplayer. Single player is dead. The consumers don't want it anymore. Honest, we tested it on a focus group of 15-year-olds.
Yeah. I definitely feel like though what gamers wanted kind of shifted in a large like amount of numbers, like into the more multiplayer, like live service games like Destiny and all that. But I don't think single player necessarily went anywhere, or not in the capacity that they suggested, like you said, Count. Two big games, however, I'd also like to bring up. Doom 2016, the new Doom coming out, I'm expecting next year. Wolfenstein this year. Two big games. We've had Fallout recently. Fallout 76 is also going to be a multiplayer game.
I can say Fallout 76 is a bad example.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of what we're talking about.
I was on the Fallout bandwagon.
4.
Fallout 4, that's actually a few years ago now, my bad.
It was 2 years, the year before last, I think, Fallout 4.
Well, don't forget about all the Skyrim re-releases, guys.
On the Alexa.
The Alexa, yeah.
I
Doesn't
love
get
that.
any more single player than that.
That's one of the best bits of E3. What was it, on his fridge as well?
Yeah. Yeah, single player never really went anywhere. It's just that there was a period where devs were pushing multiplayer and everything like that, like you said. But those devs were making multiplayer games, but tacking on single player.
Yeah.
And the single player was this small, insignificant portion, and it made it look like AAA development was sort of saying, oh, single player is dead.
I think AAA development in third-party publisher cases is absolutely trying to push that agenda and make that a reality for, as Count would know, microtransaction reasons.
Yeah, because they make more money from it.
But I think, I think the question is, are single-player games re-solidifying their position after we've kind of gone over this big hump of this craze regarding online services like Destiny and all that?
I think so. I think it started a couple of years ago now, like you said, with Doom and whatever, but I think the first sort of big single-player thing to happen in recent years was Horizon Zero Dawn when that came out.
Yeah.
Because everyone was just like, oh yeah, shit, single-player games are actually fun and they can be fun without, like, tacked on multiplayer. And that sort of set off a good wave.
Yeah, I'd like to give credit to Sony Studios as well, or specifically Sony for pushing to create single-player experiences. Because you mentioned Horizon Zero Dawn, but let's not forget, like, The Last of Us and Uncharted series, they never went anywhere. Sony's been pumping out single-player experiences through the entire course of this online rise. So credit to Sony Studios for that.
Yes,
yeah,
definitely. They've been on the ball with this, really.
Absolutely. Bringing it back, or at least keeping it prevalent.
Yeah. I mean, like, I remember, like, when The Witcher 3 came out, like, that blew everyone's minds. But also, like, there wasn't
holy
really...
shit!
Yeah, there weren't, like, other, like, massive single-player experiences at that moment. And it was just like The Witcher 3 dominated everything because it just... That's single-player gaming.
Absolutely.
I want to play it again.
Have you got about 100 hours spare?
Oh, here or there.
Mark, we're on holidays after this episode.
I finished Spider-Man, I got time.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of Spider-Man though, Mark, do you want to just dabble briefly in your thought or theory that you have regarding Spider-Man and Sony?
Yeah, Marvel has officially recognized this Spider-Man game, which is freaking awesome, by the way.
That's cool.
And good on Sony for putting up the money for an exclusive. But it seems like they're building to a grander world in this. And I can't remember who, but there's like this rumor circulating around from some comment one of the devs made or one of the publishers made, that this might be the start to an MCU sort of thing for gaming.
An MGU.
Yes.
You might say.
And so if, say, Sony are the ones to trigger that and Sony are the ones to continue that, then you could have the PlayStation console family having the equivalent to the MCU.
Maybe we'll end up with a Blade game.
Yeah.
Damn,
well, like,
yes, please.
Think about, like, Guardians of the Galaxy done like a Mass Effect sort of game.
Oh,
It'd be better than the fucking... Is it a Telltale did Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like you change the genre, change the structure for the heroes that you're playing through. And so it's like Guardians would work pretty well as a Mass Effect-ish style.
Yeah, because like the films change tone. They have there's the MCU tone sort of on the undercurrent, but they all have different tones in terms of what they're aiming for.
Like Thor Ragnarok.
Ah, fucking love that game.
Love
That's
it.
so
Great
good.
That was fantastic.
Amazing. I mean, like, if anything can re-solidify permanently the value of single-player games, it would be an MGU. Like, holy shit. Question, though. Would an MGU stay exclusive to Sony systems?
Well, it depends on how they want to bridge the games, because say Spider-Man is the start of it. This Spider-Man is a Sony property, and it's not going to go anywhere. Most likely, unless they do some crazy thing that they merge all these companies. But so it's a Sony property, and unless they somehow separate Spider-Man like they have been doing with the MCU up until recently, I don't see it going anywhere other than Sony. So if they say, like, make an Iron Man game and just say, oh, Spider-Man doesn't exist in this universe, then that Iron Man game can go multi-platform.
Yeah.
But if that Iron Man game references that Spider-Man...
There's still a ton of characters that are part owned by Sony.
Oh, yeah,
because
absolutely.
While Marvel have most of the rights back for Spider-Man, they don't have all the rights back, hence why Spider-Man Homecoming, the movie, was still partly made by Sony.
It's interesting. They have a tangible relationship, Sony, with Marvel, and that's why I question whether or not it would, like, these games, if they make more games, would they stay on Sony systems because of that tangible relationship and developing expertise that Sony have? Like, would that be a relationship that would stay tangible or strengthen and then solidify those games on Sony systems? It's interesting, though.
I think it'd be cool because it'd be a rise of, like, proper console exclusive again. Because, like, because Nintendo's been doing it for years. Like, you go, oh, if I want Mario and Zelda, I go to Nintendo. But Sony and Microsoft have sort of been interchangeable for a lot of things.
It'd be very interesting to see if they actually ended up with that, like, with this big, basically an exclusive, like, more than a franchise, and like a console exclusive universe of games.
I could see that happening for them as well. Think about it, though. Look at Star Wars and EA. EA are the only ones with rights to create the games. Yes, they're multiplayer games, but they're the only ones that make the games. So what if Sony's the only one making the games?
True, it does kind of motivate them to not do them as well. When you look at Star Wars.
Yeah, but like, in theory, EA could just say, oh, no, we're going to do Star Wars on this console.
Yeah, they can do whatever they want with it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Holy cow, like, shaking your boots, Microsoft, if that happens.
I think it'd be interesting having, like, Stan Lee cameos in every game.
Oh.
Is there a Stan Lee cameo in this one?
Do you want me to tell you?
Ooh, spoiler warning.
I'm going to say probably yes, then.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Okay, good. That's
Very
nice,
good.
then.
Alright, well, let's wrap it up, guys. Any final thoughts on single player?
It's great. Keep doing it. It's better than multiplayer.
Very nice. Mark?
I enjoy it much more.
It's people don't rely on me to perform well in single player, so that's pretty cool.
Alright, curveball, guys. Before we wrap it up, give me your all-time favorite single player game.
Fuck.
Transformers Armada on the PlayStation 2.
What? The nichest choice you could ever possibly have made.
You don't know.
Fuck.
You don't
was
know
so
how much
quick.
I've played that game.
Oh, mate.
It was the first game I ever played that had ragdoll physics. And you could launch yourself from one end of the map to the other as this raggedy robot that would, like, impact the world when you landed. It was awesome.
Damn. Alright, I'm going to go a safe bet in Halo.
That's fair. I'm going to go a safe bet with Pokemon then.
Done. Alright.
Yeah, there we go.
I choose the furthest thing from anyone's mind.
Yeah. A game
job.
that probably
Props.
no one has thought about in like 20 years.
I challenge
I
all
thought about
listeners to beat Mark. Beat him. Find something more obscure that you've actually played. Speaking of which, though,
I remember watching the series Transformers Armada as well. That's the thing.
let us know your thoughts and opinions regarding single player games down below in the comments. Be sure to challenge Mark, find something obscure, let us know. Provide us with links so we can check it out. If you've enjoyed this episode, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next episode of Pocket Edition. Have a good one.